Hi everyone, I'm Kathy Dawson. Welcome to Can You Relate? Cleveland's relationship show. If you've been tuning in the last few weeks, you know that this show is for you. It's all about relationships, whether it's relationships with you and your mates, you and your children, you and your coworkers, you and your pets, you and your friends, whatever it is, this show is here for you. And I actually recommend that when you watch the show, you have paper and pen because we're always talking about things that are for you, resources, websites, books. So make sure you have a pen and paper by your side. This show, later in the show, we're going to talk about a relationship that's so important. We all have it. It's with food, especially around this time of year. It's winter, you want to hunker down, you want to eat. But first, we're not going to talk about how cold it is. We're going to talk about how hot it is in Cleveland. You may have heard of this wonderful show called Hot in Cleveland. It's, of course, taped in LA. It's all about Cleveland, and we have a writer from Cleveland Magazine who wrote a story about the show. So let's get started. Hot in Cleveland is a hot show. Millions of people are watching it, and it's on TV Land. And I'm so honored to have Colleen Smitek here. You're the senior editor at Cleveland Magazine, and you wrote this wonderful article, we have the cover to show everyone, about the 4 women in Hot in Cleveland. So tell me about this. First of all, how fun was this to go to LA?
Well, I tell you, at first it didn't sound, it sounded like a great opportunity, but I'm thinking I haven't been away from my 2 little girls ever for 3 nights.
Aww.
So I was excited, but a little sad to leave.
Sure, that makes sense.
But, you know, then I got to my hotel and it was really quiet and, you know, there was a pool outside and the weather was nice, so I made it work and it ended up being a lot of fun, but I was happy to see them when I got home.
Now, for some of the viewers who may not have seen the show, can you give us kind of a recap of what it's about, the theme of it?
Yeah, it's about 4 women who live in LA. They decide to go on to Paris for a vacation, but their plane has to make an emergency stop in Cleveland.
Okay.
So to kill time, they wander into a bar, and they notice that the men are looking at them in a way that they have not been looked at in LA for probably a couple of decades. They also notice that everyone is eating food. So they, the gag, right, yeah. The gag in the line is that it made them feel 10 pounds lighter and 10 years younger.
Right.
So they stayed. And they rented a house where the caretaker was Betty White.
Oh, love it. So how is the relationship between the show and Cleveland, really? I mean, I don't know how you felt, but when I first heard this was going to air, I thought, oh no, please be nice to us.
Well, we've all heard the joke, right? The joke's been around for a long time and we're a little bit sick of it. So right. When the show starts out and the premise is, you know, 4 fabulous women from California walk into a bar in Cleveland. Right, it sounds like a bad joke. It sounds horrible.
Right.
But then, you know, you have to realize they stayed. And they're constantly saying kind things about the city. They love the people in the city, the characters. And so I think ultimately it's very flattering to us. Now, they do not necessarily portray our more sophisticated side. The restaurant that they hang out in doesn't look like a Michael Simon restaurant. But you have to realize, too, this is a TV show. They're trying to be funny.
Right.
And cut them a little slack.
And more funny things happen in that restaurant than...
Right.
Yeah.
Cleveland needs to learn to take a joke.
Exactly.
Is
So
what we thought.
I'm dying to know about their relationship, the actresses' relationship. Do they all get along? Is it good? You know, how's that going?
You know, they say that they love working together because they love each other and they get along wonderfully. Now, just because people get along does not mean that they're going to have...
There's Valerie Bertinelli.
Good chemistry. She was so nice. I mean, she was just constantly saying nice things. She's a huge Browns fan. I mean, she's just like you'd think she'd be.
Oh my gosh.
She's great. But just because people get along doesn't mean they're going to have good chemistry.
Right.
But so the producers just said, they use the phrase lightning in a bottle. Unbelievable how these women got along. Now, they each gave me a lot of time to sit down and talk to them. And what I found is I really felt like they were 4 women who were just very happy to be themselves and very confident.
Yes.
And you're the relationship coach, but I think if you're a real confident person, you're not going to tend to be competitive with your castmates.
There you go. That's right. It all starts inside.
And they weren't. Wendy Malick said that it's like playing tennis with someone who's really good. It just elevates your game. You know they're going to smash the ball back, and you're going to just have a great game.
So there isn't this intense competition. You just enjoy.
There really isn't. They were so nice.
And that's why it's a success. Now I have a question for you. Do you think that they'll ever come to Cleveland? Did you get a sense?
I really did sense that they wanted to.
Really?
I did.
Oh, how
Especially, well,
wonderful.
Valerie Bertinelli is here quite often
sure.
because her now husband, she just got married, is from Cuyahoga Falls.
Okay.
But no, I think they do want to, and they were trying to work it out for the premiere, the show, for the premiere of the second season, which I think is, do you have the date? January 18th, maybe?
I don't. Okay.
It's really soon. They were trying to come back here for a premiere party. I don't know if that's going to happen,
Okay.
but I think they will be back here, if not this year, I would guess next year.
Great. Well, I'll tell you what, you did a beautiful job on this
Thank you.
article. So thank you so much for the work that you've done. And if anyone wants to pick up the Cleveland Magazine, it's on the stands now, or you can go to the website at clevelandmagazine.com. Stay tuned because we're going to have more of Can You Relate coming up.
Up next, can photos fix a fractured family? We'll focus on how your pictures can help develop family ties. And later in the show, baby, it's cold outside. And inside, family members are acting a bit frosty too. We'll share ways to warm up your relationships this winter.
Infrared breast imaging is a non-invasive breast scan that has no touch, pain, or radiation, and it can detect abnormalities years before a mammogram. So schedule your IRBI scan at 440-239-3438 or visit our website at 10pennyimc.com, where you can be an IRBI girl.
Join in as Al's Deli celebrates its 5th anniversary. Nestled in downtown Cleveland's 55 Erie View Plaza building, Al's Deli serves breakfast, lunches, delicious Middle Eastern dishes, and has catering too. Al's Deli, a hidden treasure for your tummy. Log on for money-saving coupons today.
Our next segment was suggested by one of our viewers. Her name is Kim, and she said, why don't you have a segment on scrapbooking? So here's what Kim said. We take pictures to remember the vacations, holidays, and special times in my life. When I create a book, I include my photos and my thoughts and feelings. When the daily routine of life seems to be so overwhelming and the little things of a relationship build, taking a break and looking at my memories reminds me of the life I have built with my family. Thanks for the idea, Kim. We actually have a creative memories consultant here. Welcome, Judy Holloway.
Thank you.
You have so many examples here of creating memories.
Yes.
It is. I'm all about photos. If
Good.
you came into my house, they're plastered everywhere, and I do have some scrapbooks.
Good.
So how do photo albums and scrapbooks congeal families? How do they bring them together?
One of the basic things is everybody deserves an album. Everybody deserves to be validated who they are, what's special about them, what makes them important.
You hear that, Katie? My daughter's in the studio. I did
Okay.
one for after high school when she
Good.
graduated.
That's
yeah.
perfect. That's perfect.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is when people take pictures, you pull the camera out, everybody goes, oh, I don't want my picture taken. Right. They just need to get over it because honestly, when you're done with that album and they look at it, the first thing they're looking for is themselves.
Right.
So you might as well just take the picture, tell them to smile, and just get over it and move on.
And you always say it makes people feel like they matter.
It does.
And what more in life does anybody want? We all want to matter.
Exactly. Exactly.
Right.
Everybody needs validated.
So, I see you have writings in these photo albums. How does that work?
Well, journaling is very, very important. I'm kind of a journal Nazi when it comes to that kind of thing. Because, I mean, a picture is great. It really is great. But the meaning and the purpose behind the picture is really critical. And so you really need to get that written down. Even if you don't like your handwriting, again, you just need to get over it.
Because otherwise you're going to forget it.
Absolutely. And if you don't like your writing, it's okay to type it on a printer and print it out. That's okay.
You did that on this one, right?
Yes, this is a special album I did for my 16-year-old. When he turned 16, we sent letters to the men that had been important in his life up to this point.
Okay.
Uncles, coaches, pastors, teachers, and said, can you give us a memory about our son? A piece of advice, a memory, something, just
What
so
a
he can.
cool idea.
And then what I did is I took their words and then put pictures of them on this page. So this was our gift to our 16-year-old.
Now, I have to ask you, did he appreciate it? Did you?
I think he likes it, and as much as a 16-year-old can at this point, and I'm okay with that.
Yes.
I mean, this is a lifetime gift. So he's going to be able to look back on this and reflect on it, and I'm fine with that.
Okay, what's the next one you want to show?
Well, the other thing you can do for teenagers is posters, because you know how they like to decorate their room and make it their own. So making posters is another way you can celebrate who somebody is and what they've done and what their accomplishments are and how strong and healthy they are. I mean, as we age, we appreciate that.
Look at these. These are
you can look at
beautiful.
these strong, healthy bodies and celebrate their athletics.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. And what else? I know you have a lot. This is a book here.
It is a book. It is a book. And the nice thing about this is it's a digital album. What that means is you take your digital picture and you drop it into a spot on a pre-designed page.
Okay.
So you literally can complete a page in 15 seconds. You drop your picture, drop your picture, drop your picture, journal about them, and you're done with that.
Wow.
And with the digital books especially, you can do multiple copies. So if you're going to do something for a class or a family heritage, you do the work one time and you make multiple copies.
All in
So-
one click, right?
Exactly.
See, that's the cool thing about
It
digital.
is. It's very fast. It can be
Yeah.
very, very fast.
What else have we got here?
Well, this is a solution for somebody who says, I never want to cut a picture. I don't want to deal with all the creative aspect of it. These are albums that you can slide the pictures in, and of course you have to journal. But they're very simple, very fast to complete. And again, this is my 2008 family album. So this is everything our family did in 2008.
That's amazing.
And it was very quick to complete.
Now, I have to ask you, do you remember the photo albums that you'd peel back? I never liked those.
Those are really bad for your photos too.
That's
if you
what I
have
mean.
them in there, you really need to get them out.
Really? Oh, I better do that.
Yes.
Okay. All right. What else? And then you have little doodads over here, like mugs. and-
Again, you can celebrate in lots of ways because the whole point is to celebrate the people who are important to you and how can you celebrate them. So this is the calendar that I did, and then you can do mugs, you can do posters, you can do all kinds of albums.
Right. I'll tell you what, every Christmas my kids do a calendar for me. They go out and they do a
Great.
photo shoot together. And it doesn't matter to me if I get anything else for Christmas. I
Yep.
just look forward to that calendar.
It is. The pictures are important. They
Yes.
really, really are.
This was so wonderful and so, so important. Thank you
Good.
for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And if you would like to get a hold of Judy, you can do so by calling 330-472-0012, and you have a website, myCM Site for Creative Memories.
Correct.
.com/sites/J Holloway.
Perfect.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
We'll be right back for Rate Your Relationship.
Things have been building up and your mate needs to blow off some steam. But is that when you blow them off? When your mate needs to vent, do you? Give advice by telling him or her to do this or that. Tell your mate everything will work out. Tell your partner about a similar situation you experienced. Simmer down and listen up. Coach Kathy says when someone vents, you need to validate.
If you answered yes to any of these questions, chances are you're going to want to take your fix-it hat off. When somebody needs to talk, they just need to vent. That's not a time they usually want solutions. So when someone vents, what you want to do is interject some validating comments like, wow, really? Oh, that's got to be hard. Or, wow, that sounds like you're really excited about that. Just stay and be with them in the moment. And the last thing you say if they're upset is, you know, would you just like a hug? And they'll fall into your arms. If you know someone who would like to take this survey, they can do so by going to CanYouRelateTV.com. Stay tuned, we have more coming up.
Just ahead, we'll dish about comfort food and how it can bring your family back together. And later, you've earned, but now you've learned that all your money isn't really all yours. We'll help you figure out why this doesn't add up.
Everybody wins when you decide to donate your ride to Our Lady of the Wayside.
Our
Donate
Lady of the
your ride
Wayside
to
is
Our
so
Lady.
much more than a car donation program. For over 40 years, we've helped thousands of physically and mentally challenged citizens live more comfortable lives within our network of homes. Our services range from assisting with personal care to developing productive personal growth. With your generous support and help, we can reach out to so many more. Y'all can help. Visit wayside.org or stop in to see us today. You can change lives.
You know, I think we can all agree, and you can relate to this, that food plays a huge part in relationships. Family dinners, you know, dates, night out. Food is a part of your daily life, obviously. So we have a return guest, Jeremy Gutow, back by popular demand.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Kathy.
And we're going to talk about what happens when you have people you know in your family who are picky eaters. What kinds of things can you cook that'll bring the family together? So, tell us a little bit about what you got going on here.
First of all, if you have picky eaters at home, God help you. But I like to tell people I was pretty much the worst. When I was little, I was just about the worst. So I figure if I can make something that I would have eaten when I was 10 years old, I promise you, whatever kid you have at home, they'll do it too.
Okay, did you used to like eat the meat and make it into a ball and then hide it underneath the mashed? I got good at that. I'd hide it under the mashed potatoes.
I never did that, but it was very, very easy for my food to have cooties. I mean, for instance, if my food had a mushroom in it, you know, some kids will actually eat around the mushroom. I wouldn't. The whole food was, it had
Oh,
to-
yeah,
I
exactly.
couldn't.
Oh.
I mean, everything had cooties.
Right.
So it was just...
So you're making the cheese sauce here.
Yes, today we are making macaroni and cheese. In fact, let me add these spirals to it right now. We're making macaroni and cheese because I think that most kids will do macaroni and cheese.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And the asset to this macaroni and cheese, this is truly homemade. I mean, homemade. This macaroni and cheese actually has, I figured it out, 2.5 times more protein per serving than, you know, that box that we often buy that, I mean,
Yeah.
kids like it and they will eat it. It could be worse, but this has 2.5 times more protein per serving than that stuff
I've
does.
actually eaten this. It's really, really good. So, tell me about how you got into this, because didn't you start with kids? You started taking care of kids? You were
Yes,
a nanny.
actually, I started cooking for fun when I was very, very young. But the first time I ever started cooking for people on any type of a professional basis, I was a live-in Manny. And I like to tell people I was the very first live-in Manny ever. It was back in 1982.
That probably was the first one.
Yeah, I lived with 2 little girls and their parents for 1.5 years, and then after them, I lived with 3 teenage boys and their parents for almost 8 more years.
Wow!
And so altogether, took care of 5 kids between the 2 of them. And then actually, more recently, I've become an after-school Manny for 3 different families with 6 more children. And so I have this, I've spent more than my share of time taking care of kids and feeding them.
So you know about nutrition for kids.
Well, I do know about nutrition purely by coincidence. I also was in the nursing home industry for a number of years. I was in charge of activities for 2 dementia units. And when you work in nursing homes, you end up learning a lot about nutrition. And so I was able to apply some of what I learned at the nursing home into children's food as well.
Okay, great. Now, am I going to get to taste this? Because I
Yes,
don't see
you
a
are.
fork anywhere.
I have a fork right here.
Oh, yay.
And I
Okay.
have a little cup.
Oh,
and I'm
nice. I was just
scooping-
going to eat it out of here, but you know.
We try to be a little bit more polite than that around here. But
My
you know.
family knows me. Oh, yeah.
All right.
Okay.
This is, of course, the finished product.
Okay.
And it should be nice and
Is it-
warm for you.
Okay. Oh, this looks so good. There's nothing like macaroni and cheese.
Now, I would finish this off by sprinkling on a little bit of paprika and so forth, just to
Oh.
give it some more color. Is that okay?
Oh, good.
And macaroni and cheese, this time of year, this is a stick-to-your-ribs food. And again, now I will say this is not the lowest fat dish you could eat, but
Oh, yeah.
it's offset by the fact that you're getting so much nutrition. It's
It's
okay.
also a stick-to-your-teeth food. Excuse me. Okay, we're going to have this recipe on our website at canyourelatetv.com. If you'd like to get a hold of Jeremy, you can do so by calling him at 216-751-4229 or going to your website at jeremygutow.com. Stay tuned. Romance Review is coming up next. I need a toothpick.
Next, have you been paying attention to your pension? If not, it could cost you. We'll tell you why. Then, help for the romantically challenged. Coach Kathy offers advice for Valentine's Day.
Romance and warmth are synonymous in the winter. So here are a couple of ideas to warm things up for you and your mate. Idea number 1. Warm your partner's bath towel by hanging it over a radiator or running it through the dryer for a few minutes. Hand your mate a nice warm towel as he or she is stepping out of the tub or shower, and I guarantee you'll not only warm a body, you'll warm a heart. Idea number 2. When you and your mate slip under the covers at night, is it cold under those sheets? You can certainly get some body heat going by snuggling up together, but another way to stoke that fire is to throw a hot water bottle in bed with you. Not so romantic, you say? Well, maybe not, but it sure is warm.
Craig and Mark Lindell and Grange Insurance understand that life is a series of brushstrokes, large and small. Moments from the everyday to the extraordinary. As you move through your world, let Grange Insurance and Lindell Insurance put the finishing touches on an insurance plan to meet your needs. Having Lindell Insurance and Grange handle your insurance while you stay in the moment. Now that's a stroke of genius.
She's in my... As we've talked before, your relationship to money is crucial, and it's something you deal with every single day. This is one of my favorite segments because Ken Butsey, financial planner with Integrity First Planners, comes in and really untangles the ins and outs of money. And today you have another acronym for us. So here's the time I was telling you to get the paper and the pen. This is when you're really going to want to write this down. So what are we talking about today?
We are talking about NUA.
NUA.
NUA, for Net Unrealized Appreciation.
Okay, what is that?
Okay, we're talking to people probably a little bit older, maybe closer to retirement, who have a retirement account with their company, and they have company stock, the company that they work for, in their 401k.
Okay.
Okay. What is available to these people if that company's stock has grown in value, it's appreciated since they bought it, they have the ability, depending upon the plan, but most plans around here do, to take that stock out of their plan and not pay income taxes on that, but pay a capital gains tax down the road.
Okay, are you hearing this? All right, this is information I've never heard.
Yeah. So let me just work through some simple numbers just to make sure, because this is very technical and it's a process that takes a while. So it's nothing that you want to wait till November 15th and say, oh, let me do it now. Because you're dependent on HR departments and so on and so forth. But simply put, say you bought stock and you spent a total of $50,000 over the years that you've worked there. And now that stock has grown to, say, $250,000. What you may be able to do, depending on your plan, is take that stock out of the plan. You're going to pay income taxes on the $50,000, not the $250,000. You're only going to pay income taxes on the $50,000.
Okay.
Now you own stock outside that's worth $250,000 that you can sell any day that you want to sell it. And when you sell it, you're going to pay capital gains tax, not income taxes.
And how much less is that than income tax?
It's substantial because it's, you know, say for this kind of person, say their income tax bracket on the marginal level, which means the amount that they're going to be taxed on those last dollars, say it's at 30 or 35%. Well, the capital gains tax rate's at 15%. Okay, so would you rather trade 15% versus 35% or 30%? And that's what the spread is.
So when you're in a company and you've bought into the stock and it's done really well, do most companies inform you of this situation?
You know, around town, they're doing a better job of it. Eaton's done a pretty good job over the years, Lubrizol, Lincoln Electric. But what made me think of this topic for this particular week is a few weeks ago, there was the notice that Jo-Ann Fabrics was being taken over by private equity. Well, there are a lot of employees with Jo-Ann Fabric that have had that stock for years that now may be confronted with that this might be a good idea for them.
Right.
So
if you work for Jo-Ann Fabrics, no.
Well, I mean,
no, but the whole concept, yes,
And,
no, that's really something. Once again, you come in with radical information, and it's helpful. Thank you so much. If you would like to get a hold of Ken, you can do so by calling him at 751-4229, or you can go on your website at integrityfirstplanners.com.
That's correct.
Great. We'll see you next time you come in.
Thank you.
Stay tuned because we've got Get a Life coming up.
Coming up, Kathy helps a husband who wants to say, "Be my Valentine," but on a budget. And next week, are you ready for some football? Our Relationship Roundup kicks off Super Bowl week with talk about spending too much time watching touchdowns. Next week on Can You Relate with Kathy Dawson.
This is the Get a Life segment. This is where I encourage you to get up, get out, get off the couch, and go do something to make a memory. I have something special to tell you about. It happens every year in Cleveland. It's been going on for 18 years. It's the Coach Kathy annual romance workshop. My husband and I put it on at a different bed and breakfast within about a 2-hour radius of Cleveland, and this year it's at the Inn of Honey Run in Millersburg, Ohio. So if you've got cabin fever and you and your partner want to get out and reconnect again, this is a wonderful way to do it. It's February 5th. It runs from 9:30 to 5, and you have the option to stay overnight. So if you're interested in learning more about this, you can learn about it by going to kathythecoach.com. Stay tuned for Ask Coach Kathy.
For those who struggle with drug and alcohol addiction, finding the courage to change is the first step to lasting recovery. Discover life in recovery. Discover Glen Bay.
Glen Bay, nationally recognized drug and alcohol treatment for adults. Discover more at glenbay.com.
This is the Ask Coach Kathy segment. This is where you get the chance to write in your question and I'll answer it anonymously. This week's question is, Kathy, Valentine's Day is coming up. I don't have a lot of money but want to do something special for my wife. I'm a bit romantically challenged. Do you have any ideas? Yes, I do. Okay, first of all, I want you to know you don't have to do something huge. A lot of women out there, I think your heads are going to nod when I say this, is that we really love the small gestures. So I'm going to give you 3 ideas. You can pick one out of 3, you can do all 3. Idea number 1, get a bag of Hershey's Kisses, okay? Take a handful and spread them around, make a trail, and put a note at the end that says, I kiss the ground you walk on. All right, I know you're probably groaning, but it's a cute idea. Another idea is take one single rose. Now, this time of year, you're going to have to make have a silk rose because a real one will die. But just stick it under the windshield. You don't need a note. You don't need anything else. Just put one single rose under the windshield. The last idea is, and I love this idea, buy a lottery ticket and attach a note to it that says, I hit the jackpot when I met you. Do you love it or what? She will love that, okay? So those are my 3 ideas. Now, the definition of romance is this. You matter to me. And if you do anything, small, large, your partner is going to feel like she matters. Thank you so much for tuning in to Can You Relate? Stay tuned for next week because we are going to be talking about, has your mate ever said, you never listen to me? You're going to learn about the tips on listening. So I'll see you next Monday for Can You Relate? Have a great week.
Wardrobe provided by Aurora Farms Premium Outlets. Hair and makeup courtesy of John Roberts Salon and Spa. Want to learn more about today's topics, suggest segments, or add your input? You can do all this and more at CanYouRelateTV.com. Can You Relate with Kathy Dawson is presented by CK Media Productions.